Hello and welcome to GFD North podcast. My name is Ryan Woodhouse and today I'll be interviewing Rudy Parfaite. Rudy will be giving a presentation on this Sunday, the 7th of August this year. So go on over to gfdnorth.uk and you can scroll down and get a link to Rudy's work. If you're interested in listening to our previous guests, you can go over to the podcast section where we now have 10 episodes. And if you're interested in attending this year's event, you can go to the buy ticket section to purchase tickets. Now, just to give a quick background and intro to Rudy, Rudy's career began all the way back in 2009 when he started working at De La Cave as a 2D character designer. Now, fast forward to 2022 with more than a decade of experience, he currently works as the art director at Blur Studio. And during that time, he's worked as concept artist and environment background artist for companies such as Passion Pictures, Quantic Dream, Dontnod Entertainment, Atom Hawk, Pretty Simple, and many more. During this podcast, we'll talk about Rudy's current role as art director on Valorant, what he's learned over the many years of working as a concept artist in various studios, and what he looks out for in a portfolio. So without further ado, can I please welcome Rudy to the podcast. Rudy, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you
Great.
doing, man?
Yeah, very well, thank you. All right, I'm just going to share the screen now and hopefully you should be able to see that, okay? Right, can you see your portfolio?
Yes.
Awesome. So I was just thinking maybe we could start out this episode just by talking about your early career and the early days of when you're getting started.
So, everything is on my LinkedIn, but yeah, I started by doing, 2D animation school. I was really interested into animations at that time. No 3D, no game, just movie and like 2D animations. But it happened that I wasn't that much interested in doing character animations, but I was animating everything else, like the background, doing the video editing, even contacting people to have professional sound. And when you're a student, it's it's a big thing to do a move like that. So I was doing everything else than pure animations.
Pure animations.
Yeah, then I jumped to another studio. I did some internship and work on some project with some friends, um, video game project, small animation project too, and have the great opportunity to join a mobile game studio. And this is where my career really started because I became quickly lead environment artist. I mean, almost art director there because there were no art director. I was leading every artist, hiring artists, taking care of all the look of the game. So I learned everything that I know in that studio because this is something cool with mobile studio when they are successful, of course, but is that it's small and they are learning. So when you are you're learning with them and you have space to learn and take titles like they even wanted me to be a developer. So I was like, maybe not. But it's just to illustrate the fact that everything was possible in that studio. That was a really great experience.
Yeah, great. And so you mentioned even in your very early days and your first jobs, you were taking on the role of, like you say, you're like helping hire on new staff. You're taking all these different roles on in the company, and I assume all those very early experiences helped you as an art director today. It helped give you those skills.
Yeah, it's it's a long path. In I think it's already great to be art director, but I think it's a mindset first, because I work with really talented artists, and some of them are better than me. But so it's not about being really good at everything. It's really the mindset that brings you to lead a team or lead a project. It's like I remember meeting with the CEO of the studio, and we have to take care of some technical issue that was really crazy time.
Yeah.
Because the artists were the targets at the time, so it was really crazy because all the issue came from the artist. But and there is this guy that was really good, really organized. I love working with him. It was really helpful to work with him. But at the meeting, the CEO said that he's good, okay, but he never take any decisions. He can, and I was like, oh, okay, can I say nothing because that's true. It's really a good member of the team, but when it's about taking decision, he's never he don't know what to do. But I was completely the opposite. Even if I don't know, I was like, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that. So I understood. That made me realize that okay, that's the difference between some people say are good at what they do, they love what they do, it's perfect. Some people that say are able or like to take decision and be involved in the overall project. But yeah, of course you have to be kind with people, love people, of course. No ego involved.
This is it. So like you say, very important to be a good decision maker, and sometimes you just need to have that ability to say, okay, let's go in this direction, let's take the project in this particular direction. And I can imagine that can be quite difficult when you've got a 2D look that is very stylized, because there's a lot of art direction and decision making all the way down into the shapes and the design and the cinematography and how you can do the lighting. There's a lot more things to decide on when everything is hand drawn, right? And obviously you've got to be very skilled as well. And actually, I think this would be a good segue just to talk about the overall style of your work, because it's very colourful. It's also very stylized. And so I was just playing some of your earlier stuff, say the Proposal, the short animated film. So when did this particular style come about, this way of working? Was it something that you developed while you were still in school, or was it something that just developed over the years?
So it's funny because I think this style is like just I had this short animatic to do, and I wanted to test something not cartoony, but something that fit with the story, with a style which is a bit more painted, maybe inspired by some Disney drawing. But I never did that before. Most of the work that you see on my portfolio is like the first time that I'm doing them. So because I get bored really fast. So that's strange. It's a problem, to be honest, but because I don't like to do the thing twice. So but at the same time it's a problem because this is by doing the things again and again, it's how you get better at it. So I'm working on it, of course. But I know today we are really inspired by really realistic look. Everybody using 3D now, realistic render, amazing lighting, etc., which is always a good thing. But I don't know. I grew up with really colorful movie or games, and I'm not afraid to use them. And I think we are influenced by like more dramatic mood in general in what we look at or play at. But it's cool, yes, it's really great and powerful, but drama, I mean, a really enjoyable and delightful moment could be as powerful as a really dramatic moment. I mean, we should not be afraid to go that direction.
And so I think as well, something else we can maybe touch upon is not just the stylization in your artwork, but did you have any particular influences as well, or any particular artists that maybe influenced this particular way of working or this style?
Yeah, of course. The thing is that their name are really hard to say. And they're really hard to say. I have to check the name because every time I'm trying to say the name, I butcher it. So, but in that style, the artist that come in my mind is, let me try to find it really quickly.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I'll just say there was an illustrator that I really liked when I was still in school. I don't know if you've heard of him. It's called Toma Hanuka, and he does these really quite colourful. I believe he starts out with like line drawing, like pen on paper, and then he scans these into Photoshop and adds these really kind of colourful palettes and things. And some of the colour schemes and the moods that you have in your work reminds me of his. So I definitely recommend checking him out.
But,
yeah. But anyway, so
for this one, it was Mikhail Sotaruk. It's hard to say.
Mikhail.
Yeah, Mikhail Sotaruk. Sawyruk.
Okay. Mikhail Sawyruk. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, I can see. So yeah, you've got these kind of like really expressive kind of moods and color palettes.
Yeah.
And like quite like loose brushwork as well. Looks very nice. And I can see that how that influence played out into say your more recent work on Valorant. And I can see on this project. So were you responsible for like a lot of the backgrounds?
Yeah, on this project I was Matt Venture, and so I ended up doing all the corner of the scenes. Usually on project like that, you do the main matte painting, and then there is a 3D team behind on those projects. So they are building the scene in 3D, and they are doing some texture too. So you expect to just do the some main shot, because painting them is really good for the to gain some win some time, save some time. But at the end of the day, I ended up doing every walls, every corner, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing everything." So that's cool. I'm gonna have a lot of things to show. And on this project, the synergy with the team was amazing. It was really amazing. And I shout out to Blur Studio because the people there are amazing. And I brought some solution, for the texturing and the stylization, and they were like, "Yeah, you're amazing. That's perfect. Yeah." So I was like, "Okay, I can maybe show you how to paint that and that." And with that, we were able to push it even further. And that brought me to the next project as like art director, because they told me, "Hey, we were really helpful on this one, and for the next one, we want you to be there from the beginning to the end."
Okay, so this project I've got on the screen at the minute, this was the project that said to them, "Okay, we need this guy as the art director on the next one." This was like the projects that led on to that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's interesting. Actually, just while we're actually on this page, I can see that you painted these walls completely flat. So did you take these walls and then when you went to go make the cinematic, were they projected onto 3D planes?
Yeah. So the process is like there is a first layout, okay, so a 3D layout, but the design is off. Okay. The design is not what the client wants, and is not matching with the overall style. Okay. So I come and redraw draw over the 3D, change the shape. I just bring some ideas and accuracy. Then it's go back to the 3D artist. he built everything so it matched with the character, the lighting, etc. And go back to me, and I paint the texture. And we are doing that flat for the projection. When it's a wall, it makes sense to have it flat because we have, as you can see, even there we have different angles of the wall. So by painting them flat, we can use them in every angle and with different lighting.
Yeah, that's interesting. So working back and forth with the 3D guys.
Yeah.
Great effect as well. Really interesting look. And I think it works really well for the animation. All of it looks painted. Even the characters, they kind of got that hand painted look. So I think it's a really successful project.
Yeah, they have a amazing artist and tool that they built to get that style, and it's really. I was surprised by how sharp it is. Maybe ArtStation doesn't do justice to that, but it's like extremely sharp on the rim light, the edges, and stuff like that. So it's really nice.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so I've got some more of those backgrounds there as well. So did you contribute just to the backgrounds in this piece, or did you do characters as well? Because I know in the past you've also touched some characters, haven't you?
Yeah, true, but I have a story about characters that now I'm okay to say I'm not doing characters.
Okay. Maybe a bad experience doing characters or something in the past? Or?
Yeah. I had a traumatizing experience, which went well in some way, but it's like I got injured in my health so that's so I say, okay, now I stopped doing like, oh yeah, I can do character, yes, no, but now I say no, I'm not doing character. To answer your question, in addition to the matte painting, I did some paint over on some shot, to bring them to the really final look. So this stage happened at the compositing stage. So it really, bring the image to this look that every frames feel controlled. So matte painting and paint over some shot to help the compositing to finalize them.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. And also, just while we're on it, so I know you mentioned briefly that this was the project that actually got you into that position as the art director. And I know a couple of questions that I sent you over were just things about what do you think is important then to keep in mind as the art director, now that you're the art director on Valorant, what kinds of things are you trying to push or keep in mind as the art director? Are you constantly trying to make sure that, say, the overall kind of shapes that you use in the scene are kind of all working together nicely? Are you trying to push certain things? So what is it that you're trying to keep in mind then on a day-to-day basis as the art director on this project?
The lesson that I learned is the most important thing is the visual language.
Yeah.
As art director, the main, what we expect the art director to do is to bring what is in the story, the storyboard, and maybe some design to this final look, from okay, this is cool, to amazing. So it's important to stay focused on the visual language from the beginning to the end for the consistency, and also the message communicated to the spectator, as much by the color, the composition, the animation, the effects, the design itself. So during the realization of a film, the shots are not made in a linear way. So it's necessary to be impregnated, with the film, and have a clear vision of its final look. So I don't know if everybody does that, but when I work on the short film or a film like that, I watch the animatic like every day.
Just to make sure you get, just so you understand that visual language and make sure that the work you're creating fits that world, right?
Yeah. So every time there is an update, I'm looking at it. But even if there is no update, I'm looking at it every day. So I get into it, and I'm like into the universe, So when something happens, when we talk about a subject, I have always everything in mind. I don't forget anything. So, and I even it's a good way to you stay connected. That's it.
Yeah. Just keeping that interest in the IP and staying up to date with what's coming out. Yeah, really important.
Oh, and also if you are, for example, tomorrow you are out there on a video game that maybe you don't play, my advice is to install that game and play. Don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna watch a walkthrough on YouTube. That will be enough." No, you need to.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that's why I'm saying that, because I know that I was hiring some. That bring me to another story, because when I was in the studio, I was hiring people. I was doing interview. I was looking at portfolio and hiring them. And one question that was crucial is that, do you play the game that we were doing? And some people said no. So it was like, okay, you're out. That's it. So it's important to understand what the game is, why people love it, and stuff like that. So.
And especially, I guess, today, it's very competitive, isn't it? And if you've got two people and they're both equally skilled, and one guy's just spent a little bit of extra time just playing through the game, even once or twice, they're going to have a better understanding, right? And guilty as charged. I'm definitely guilty of watching the YouTube, watching the YouTube gameplay footage. I've definitely done that more often than I've actually played the game. So I should probably take some advice on that one. But anyway, let's move on to this next piece. And I really love this one, especially when I first saw this one. I was like, oh wow, man! It was like I think it's like set in Japan or something, like a Neo Japan or something like that.
Yeah. Completely inspired by Akira, of course.
Yeah, I was just scrolling down for the people watching this. I saw these huge motorbikes, like, oh man, it kind of reminds me of Akira. They've got like the kind of like graffiti, and I saw like Japanese signs, like, man, this is cool. So so I was just curious. So again, was your role in this? So again, you were the background painter, right?
Yes. On this one also, I was Matt Venture. So it was before Blur, of course. And by the way, this project catch the eyes of Blur. So I got many cool work with that project. So that's that kind of fun. It was a really great project. I guess because grew up in the 90s, we all we have Ghost in the Shell, we have Akira, we have all those stuff. So when we heard Neo Tokyo, we say, okay, let's go. Because we grew up in that. So on this one, it was kind of different, because I don't know if I can say that, but I kind of took over the environment team, I would say. So according to what they needed, I say, okay, I don't have time, but I know people, I can bring them, and we can organize like that. So, and I suggested that to them, and say, okay, let's go. That works for us. So we were like three friends, organizing ourselves and building those environment. The thing on that project is that the layout was really, really simple.
And by layout, you mean you were just dealing with like corridor, alleyway designs and things, like simple rooms, things like that.
Yeah, when I say layout, I mean the 3D shot, but like the first stage of the 3D shot. So you have two blocks, and you have a motorbike moving, but the wheels are not animated,
Okay.
The camera is a bit off, but you have the angle, you know. So for this one, I was like, we had to take the layout, push the layout further. So for example, in the view, the street view, we had to build the city in 3D to help us with the angle, the lighting, just have something more. And then we did the paint over the challenge. It was great because we have full control, but the challenge was to do them in like 3 days. So
that's actually quite a lot, isn't it, to build the 3D scene and then get to the final in 3 days?
Yeah. Today I'm not doing that anymore. Like I take 4 days, sometimes 5 days to have this kind of result. But I don't know on this one. Maybe, as I said, because we understand this kind of universe because we grew up in that. But yeah, the layout was like 1 day and then 2 days of painting, and it was good to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the designs are really interesting as well. I mean, was there any like particular like inspiration behind these? No, before you mentioned Akira, was there any kind of like other inspiration you guys were like looking at and getting inspired by at the time, or?
Yeah, of course, but of course the inspiration is what I talked earlier, but it's also the client, the art director on this one, are giving us like, okay, I want exactly what those guys did on the League of Legends movie. You know, I want that from there, which is anime, which is and they brought us also old school anime, the Ghost usually is a great one for that.
So some of these effects, actually, I was just looking at the way the fire, and you know the I don't know what you call them, you know, the small flashes of lights, the characters running, all these like little animation things remind me of that kind of classic anime, and just the overall feeling, the movement reminds me of it quite a bit.
Yeah, the speed lines.
Yeah, speed lines, exactly, and just the way the fire plumes out and everything. Yeah.
By the way, the girl lifting her fist is fully in 2D. We barely see that, but she is the only character that is not in 3D there.
That's quite cool. So you just like cut out the arm a bit and just had it animating a touch. Yeah, you can see a little bit. Awesome. And then just moving on to the next one. I thought this was really interesting as well because it's got a completely different design. This one's almost like an Indian inspired world, right?
Yeah.
And so this one takes place in like a neo-India, and it's like a weapons manufacturer. So what was the like the backstory and the brief behind this then?
So of course it's from Apex Legends. So at that time, new character Rampart. She's Indian. She's a rebel, mechanic, and fun. And the universe of Apex Legends is very manufactured, and so it was important to transmit this feeling first, but with an obvious touch of our culture. And that's something that I learned from the mobile game. Sometimes when you need something to be understood, you just have to place a big sign in front of the viewer, and then build around it. So this is what I did. I know we cannot really. There is a lot of stuff to bring because, as I said, it's a garage. She's building stuff. She's crafting weapons and stuff like that. And I didn't have enough place on the wall to put a painting of Ganesha or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So playing with the door and make it look a little more modern was a really great way to bring that to the shot. But it's not like really in front of everybody, It's in the background. It's really integrated to the background. So
yeah, really interesting. And there's a lot of stuff going on as well in that background that really add a lot of life to the environment. So you got like the workbench and all this stuff stuck to the walls, and there's all these like really nice little touches that you've added on to the back there. And this is a shot from the in-game. Well, yeah, I can see. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I can see here. So you got some of those in-game elements.
Yeah, that's funny because like 1 year after they brought that and say, "Hey, this is the design that I did." So that's really cool. And we were talking about knowing the project you are working on, and on this project, the Passion Picture called me like because I already work with them, but they say, I want you to work with us because you know the game. You really know the game. So it's better to work with you than someone who don't know the game. Yeah, let's go. I'm a big fan, so let's go. And it was funny because we were working with other artists, and the artist was doing the placing, like building the wall with where the gun are, and he was placing the gun of the game on the wall. Okay, so you have a shotgun, you have a rifle, and so on, but the size was completely off. And I was shocked because I'm playing the game. I know the size of everything, So this one is the handgun, but it was huge like a sniper, So
okay.
So I was shocked. So I was no. Yeah, if I wasn't there, that one thing that could go to Respawn, and they would say, "Oh, what the fuck is going on?"
Actually, no. I mean, it's a good point because this goes back to what you were saying earlier about if you are going to work on these IPs, how important it is just to play the games, right? And it's like you knew straight away, okay, yeah, the handgun's too big. So there's little things like that you pick up, purely by playing the game and watching it and really immersing yourself in the game and the IP. And so you picked up that straight away, and it helped you be a better designer on the project, a better concept artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. And okay, cool. So I know we've talked quite a bit about like more recent stuff, and I was looking through some of these like personal pieces because your personal work actually has a completely kind of different look to it. It's like more realistic, right? And so with this, what kind of things are you experimenting then? Are you playing around a lot with like Blender, I assume, or?
So at that time, I was really. I wanted to resemble all the skill that I've acquired at that time. So 3D model, texturing, just do what I always wanted to do because I love the work of Florent Lebrun, Quentin Mabille, but I never tried really to go fully into that. So the most important thing was to get to the end of it because I have a good like 20 file with project that I started.
They
are not finished. Sometime I go through it and I'm like, damn, this project this idea is really good. I should do it. But she's like, and I see the 20 others, and I'm like spending 1 hour going through them and saying, oh, damn, this is interesting. This is interesting. Oh, I need to redesign that. So, yeah, this. So the render that we saw earlier is really something that is really appealing to me. So you have this realistic render, but it's so colorful that it's not really realistic, It doesn't feel really real. So I like this semi-realistic kind of style. Could be that much into realism. I mean, the texture I'm talking about the texture, but I like also to go more stylized, but keep the light right, and the proportion also realistic.
Yeah. And you can see here there's all these like little subtle changes in the hue all over the textures, right? It gives the eye that kind of like that vibrancy, and I think it adds something that you don't get if you do. If you just leave it as a render, as like straight out of a 3D render or straight as just like photo textures, you don't get a lot of these like little subtle changes in the colour, which I think are really nice. And especially saw it here in the guy's cloak side. It's got like little pops of bright orange and bright blue and stuff. So yeah, it just adds a nice little bit of variation and texture to the work. But, yeah, very nice. And actually going on to that, it's actually something I noticed in this one. So you kind of got the large brush strokes and these tiny pops of colour. So this was one of your personal works, and it says in the description, just you were testing a style. So is this something that you do a lot then for your personal work? You're like testing like different rendering styles and like different ways of working, and I'm guessing eventually these like feed back into your professional work, right?
Yeah, true. You said it all. That was the time when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out. Everybody wanted to do like flat, stylized Alberto Mergo kind of stuff. Yeah, it's still the case today. So yeah, this is a trend that there is a lot of students that want to do more stylized and realistic right now, so that's cool. But actually, this description for this illustration is a lie. Because it's not really a personal work. I had to say it's a personal work because it's for an IP that didn't come out, but it was a test. It was a test for me to work on it.
Oh, I see.
So it was amazing because I wanted to bring that style. So I got the job, and I did like a bunch of painting in that style. But the game never came out, so I'm like stuck with those files and cannot show them. So, but it's really interesting to. I'm really interested to do more illustration like that. I really like the look. Again, it's semi-stylized, but at the same time, I keep some stuff that look realistic. And I think this combination, if by finding the right balance, make it look like impressive.
Yeah, got that gigantic scale going on. Actually, I can imagine this being like a really good like Love, Death, Sex and Robots series.
Oh yeah,
make a really cool animation for that.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and I think as well I'll just touch on on this one, because this was one that I came across, and it was the Legend of King Arthur Challenge keyframe. So was this for was it an ArtStation challenge or a competition or? Oh yeah, ArtStation challenge, right?
Yeah. It was for the ArtStation challenge, and same things. I wanted to bring the skill together, and for the first time, I was free during the ArtStation challenge to do it like full time.
You had the time, right?
Yeah, I had the time, so I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's try to do something epic and have fun. What is your question about it?
Yeah, so with this particular piece, I was looking at it before, and I noticed at the bottom they actually did a quick breakdown about how you would approach the composition. And I saw all these and thought, wow, these are really interesting. So I just wonder if you could just explain a little bit about your thinking about how you approach these compositions, because each one is not only an interesting camera angle, we've also got an interesting lighting scheme. And I could see that you did all these explanations of the values, like how you laid out the values and just your overall thinking. So I was just hoping maybe you could just explain a little bit about what it was that you were thinking when you approached these.
So, of course, according to the story that I want to, the thread that try to make clear to the viewer. In every shot, the scale is kind of huge, okay, and the goal was to really help people to feel the exaggeration of everything. Because medieval stuff, I know it's really common, etc., but some people are not really into that, but we appreciate it, of course, but sometimes people are not into that. So I try to just focus on really clear and simple shape, and exaggerate every idea. So okay, you have people going out the city, but what if the city have huge rampart touching the sky, and 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 yeah, I have many idea what all the shots. I mean, it remind me of all of the shots that I draw, but didn't end up into the challenge. Uh, and by the way, the one with the giant sword, and end up to be really successful on Instagram. Like people love it, and so. But this thing, the I learned a lot with this one because it was the simplest one, but at the same time, it took me a lot of time.
Yeah, I can imagine, because you got to very slowly wash in the colour, and there's always like little edges where you blurred it slightly, right? I can imagine this being quite difficult. You got all the fish and the transparency.
Yeah, the angle was tricky, but the scale was really tricky. But it looks simple. At the end, when I found the solution, I say, "Damn, it was easy," but I didn't have it at the beginning to manage to have the scale right of the water view from the top like that was really tricky. So I cheated a bit, but yeah, finally just brought the right elements so we understand that scale. But story wise, the question that it brings to people seems to have worked. People went even further than me because I wanted to do a simple image that is full of wonder, but for the composition, I already on this project, especially, already try to keep in mind to do dark against bright. And I have it's written there by the way. I had this role that I saw on the work of Paper Blue, which is a Korean artist, which is he have like a dictionary of illustration, that's crazy. But people don't understand that on his art station there is not all his work. It's just half of it, maybe. Because this guy is there since like 2007, and he already have like 100 paintings on his website already. So it was crazy. And this guy brought me to the environment painting. I was so fascinated, so amazed by his work. I look at it and say, damn, he's using brush. He's not painting the trees. He's using brush. What? How is possible? Because at that time, using brush was cheating. Using brush was cheating somehow. So I was like, damn. And he have like this common way of composing landscape. He was always putting the foreground in the shadow, middle ground in the light, and then he bring back again a ground of shadow, and again a light, or light, shadow, light. He was always doing that, and the shot was working very well. So I kept that in mind, and I think it's a really easy way to break out huge landscape and get clarity without going to complex thought.
Exactly. And this principle of dark light, actually, if you look at master paintings, just say master paintings of natural landscapes without trees, they'll very often place the trees, if you read it from left to right, you'll always go from like light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And for some reason, your eye just likes this contrast. And that's I think it's a really one of the most important principles, I think, when you come to your value schemes of where you place your your darkest darks, your lightest lights, to get that highest level of contrast.
It's important to always work on that fundamental. Because even at my stage now, I need to still sketching, testing, working on that.
I can see here is sorry, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can see here on the left-hand side that you've got a mood ref, and so this is just something that you like the lighting and the color scheme of. So is this something that you do as well? I was just wondering, do you do like painting studies then to improve your eye for composition? So do you do studies of like film and things like that?
I use everything, to be honest. So every time I work on any kind of illustration or project, I have like this template. Like there is a folder with art ref and reference. So art ref, just painting people, what they did, what I like with the renders, and there is like reference with photo reference, movie reference, lighting reference. So it's important to have reference, to just not forget the fundamental and understand stuff. Some people master it, so they don't need reference. I still need it, so.
Yeah. I think as well when you use reference, you can get your eye. I think you can really achieve those really nice colors and lighting situations as well when you actually have the some references to what the light would look like, especially for things like materials, right? It can be quite tricky, I think, to sometimes just guess these things from your head.
Yeah,
for sure. And at the bottom there, we can just see some of the basic 3D blockouts that are used for the shots as well. I can see now as well just how much time you put into the paint over. So you can see, I know I'm sure if everyone watching this, you can see like the 3D layouts. Now, if we go look at the finals, I mean, you can tell just how much effort goes into painting over these things, right? It's almost completely painted over compared to the 3D blockouts.
Yeah. That's something that I like to force myself to do. I don't want people to see the 3D underneath. Like sometimes the goal is just so people say how he did it.
Yeah.
How it's so. I mean, for our station, I try to work on projects so people say, "Hey, how is possible?" Because when I saw other work of people, I'm like, "Damn, I have this barbecue on Sunday, but I don't think I'm gonna go to barbecue. I'm gonna pen." Sometimes you stumble on some painting and it's like, damn, this is so good. I need to work more.
That's it. And and this is why we have events, right? So every now and again we can get out of the studio and meet other people who like to who sit inside all day, right?
But, yeah, that's amazing. Can't wait to be there. Get my ass kicked a little bit, and be impressed. And by the way, you have a really good, really great panel of artists there.
Well,
really impressed by their work.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who's given a presentation, they're all really skilled. Everybody's got tons of years' experience, and I think it's going to be a great talk. But anyway, just to go back to this, so I know before that we were talking about exploring like different 3D processes and things, and I thought these couple were interesting because again, it is completely different to the more stylized work that you can do, and this really reminds me of say like something like straight out of a film. Almost feels like a little bit like Star Wars with some of them, or Dune, right? So again with this, so is this just exploring like different processes and workflows in 3D then, or?
Yeah, also it was the just testing out some techniques that I learned, combining them, and really focus on composition, making several shots. The story, there is no real story. It's just just the pilot playing around. But it's also was also great training for paying attention to the scale, which doesn't seem like that, but having the scale right depend on so many little things that we tend to forget or we don't realize until we are in front of them. So doing really big scale is really good training to work, to play with texture, to play with the atmosphere, the lighting, stuff like that.
Yeah. Like you can see on this one, okay, it's like you're thinking how far back are these structures, and you've really got to pay careful attention. Well, okay, so we're gonna have to say some cooling towers, and they're like, okay, how big would they be, and then how big would the windows be? So yeah, paying attention to that scale.
Now saying that, I see that the ship is a bit too big.
I think this is part of the problem when we look at work that we did years ago, is that we start to notice like little mistakes.
Yeah.
But I still think they're quite successful. I think they look really interesting. And and I think as well, just to point out as well, if you want to make something feel massive, you do actually have to go in and add these little details, because these are the things that tell you, like, you're looking like, oh wow, I mean, talking gigantic desert structures.
And 3D is the best tool for that. When you have big scale, even if it's just placing two cubes into the depth, gonna help you to get the scale right. So so now it's like everybody using 3D, so I'm using it too, of course.
Yeah, that's it. And because quite a bit of your work is seems to like more of a purely 2D workflow. So I think that's quite interesting to see you explore that one. In fact, talking about that 3D workflow, I can see on this piece for Apex, they actually did like a full 360 backplane. I thought that was super cool as well.
This one, this one was So on this one, the building are all from 3D base.
So did you create these towers in 3D, then paint over the top?
Yeah, I did that. It's a mix of some stuff, from some packs, some stuff from other stuff, some building that I built myself, that I recreate from picture, of Singapore, for example. But it was tough, to be honest, because to have it right and working out, to do a lot of back and forth,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, to have the city working well and the sky working well too. But it's really cool to have it, and when you have it, you want to play with it, put something in the middle, build a 3D scene and put that behind. It's really, really cool to have that.
Have you tried this in VR, by the way? I bet this looks super cool with the VR headset.
Yeah, I would like to try that.
Yeah, it would look amazing. That's awesome. Okay. Right, we're coming up to just about an hour.
Already.
I think we just about covered everything. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? I know we haven't gone through every single piece, but are there any pieces that you just want to talk quickly about that we feel like we could go over?
Let me check.
I don't feel like we should touch on this one. Maybe I thought this one was quite cool.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
So again, this was the same process that we used for the Valorant, right? So you start with the 3D base and paint it over into the background.
Yeah. So, but as you can see, the 3D base, so let's call it the layout, is really more advanced than what I was describing earlier, like just 2 blocks. And so with a big scene like that, a complex architecture like that, you have to ask the team, hey, bring me the 3D model for that, because I'm not gonna, if I start painting that, it's gonna take a lot of time, or I will have to build it myself, so it's gonna take time too. So, but again, the tricky things was the water, because of the angle and faking the reflection. So we understand that this is water. That was the most challenging part. The other part, painting, adding, putting the design on, and because of the style, it doesn't need to be really, really, really perfectly accurate. Just need to have the light right and the color right, and it's gonna work well.
Cool. Yeah, really nice final result as well. Just skipping through the trailer to see if we can find the shot with it in. I think it was in the opening shot, right? If we just zoom back a touch.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are. Right. So yeah, the very beginning. So
yeah, it's really big. Like it's like it's like a 1 second shot.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and so you can see there you got those like fake wall reflections and some of those, like you said before, some of Singapore style inspired skyscrapers and things like that.
Yeah.
Really cool to see all that stuff come together and animated with a few birds and things. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, so I've actually just got one last question, and I think we can wrap up unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what animated feature film or cinematic would you recommend people to watch that they have probably never seen before?
I have one that comes to my mind, but I guess it's for the youngest. I really recommend to watch the movie called Tekken King Treat.
Tekken King Treat.
Yeah, King Treat. I don't know what language it is, but so it's TEKKON KEKINTREET. Kin Treat.
Kin Treat.
Yeah. Tekken Kin Treat.
That's interesting. And I'm assuming this is the Japanese anime. Right?
Yeah. And this movie, you know Arcane, right?
Arcane.
Arcane, sorry.
Arcane. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a big revolution in the film and the stylized film industry, because they just killed it with an amazing quality and design. But at that time, like Tekken King Treat was really make a huge blow at the time.
Yeah.
Because of the environment was amazing, was crazy. The camera moving, flying through the building, everything 2D painted with all the detail and the storytelling in the environment. And this movie still inspires people today, and I can say without taking any risk that people working on Arcane, they know this movie really, really well. So I know they got inspired by that, because there is some element that you say, okay, you know this movie, you know the environment of this movie really well. You got inspired by that for sure. So if you never saw that movie, I recommend it.
Yeah.
Also, good movie to watch. The story is cool. So
yeah. I've actually got this up on the second screen. It actually does look absolutely amazing. The amount of detail and just the effort that's gone into those environments and cities, it looks absolutely incredible. So Tekken King Treat.
Yeah.
It does look interesting. I think I'll check that out at some point. Okay, that's great. So do you have any kind of like final words or anything else you want to say, maybe about your talk, or just any advice to people that you want to give before we wrap up?
Never give up. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's solid.
And try to never give up. Stay focused. Try to reach the top of the mountain, and hopefully we are gonna be there.
Yeah. Can take a long time to get to where you want to be. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Rudy, for coming on.
Welcome.
And if you're all interested in coming down and listening to Rudy give a presentation, he'll be giving a presentation on the Sunday the 7th of August this year, so you can go over to gfdnorth.uk, and if you want to see Rudy's amazing work as well, you can just go down there and you can get the link to his ArtStation page. And if you guys are interested to come down, you can also go to the tickets page and purchase tickets to come and listen to him give a presentation. So that's all. Okay, thank you everybody for listening. My name's been Ryan Woodhouse. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. See you soon.